You must be living under a rock if you aren't aware of the major changes happening around us, changes that some forces deliberately distract us from noticing. Why should you care? Because staying informed is crucial, and you're already ahead of the curve by seeking out wisdom and knowledge to future-proof yourself and your loved ones against the 21st century. Let's start the ignition. In an era of relentless change and uncertain futures, governments and individuals alike are grappling with technological, political, and social issues unique to the 21st century. As we navigate these tumultuous times, the question arises, how do we future-proof ourselves and our loved ones against the myriad challenges that lie ahead? From the rise of artificial intelligence to the impact of globalization and the pervasive threat of fake news, the need for adaptability and resilience has never been more pressing. Author Yuval Noah Harari, renowned for his insightful analyses of humanity's past and future, offers crucial lessons to help us deal with these fascinating times. His wisdom is distilled into 6 essential insights that provide a roadmap for navigating the complexities of the modern world. These lessons are not just academic, they are actionable strategies that can help us thrive in an unpredictable future. One of the most pressing concerns of our time is the rapid advancement of technology. Harari emphasizes the importance of rethinking our approach to education to ensure that our children are equipped to handle the challenges posed by automation and artificial intelligence. Traditional educational models, which focus on rote learning and standardized testing, are becoming increasingly obsolete. Instead, fostering creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence will be key to preparing the next generation for a world where machines can perform many tasks currently done by humans. Globalization, while bringing the world closer together, has also created new tensions and uncertainties. The impact of technological disruption, as seen in events like Brexit, highlights the need for societies to adapt to changing economic landscapes. Harari's insights shed light on how technological advancements can lead to significant political and social upheaval, urging us to stay informed and adaptable in the face of these changes. The fake news epidemic is another modern-day phenomenon that poses a significant threat to democracy and informed decision-making. Harari's lessons emphasize the importance of media literacy and critical thinking skills to navigate the overwhelming amount of information we encounter daily. By learning to discern credible sources from misinformation, we can protect ourselves from being manipulated and make more informed choices. Lastly, the question of immigration continues to be a contentious issue that threatens to disrupt 21st-century Europe. Harari delves into the complexities of immigration, urging us to adopt a more nuanced and compassionate perspective. Understanding the root causes of migration and fostering inclusive societies can help mitigate the potential conflicts arising from demographic shifts. As we embrace the future, it is essential to remember that the future depends on what we do in the present, as Mahatma Gandhi wisely said. By applying Harari's insights and staying proactive, we can navigate the challenges of the 21st century with confidence and resilience. If you found these insights valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Let's prepare ourselves and our children for a brighter, more informed future. Let's continue. Computer technology is disrupting our financial, economic, and political systems in ways we could scarcely have imagined a few decades ago. Throughout the 20th century, 3 distinct political ideologies vied for world supremacy: communism, fascism, and liberalism. By the late 20th century, liberalism, which celebrates democracy, free enterprise, and individual freedoms, had emerged as the clear winner. But how will the West's liberal democratic system cope in the 21st century? Disturbingly, its vital signs aren't good, and the revolution in information technology is to blame. From the 1990s onward, computer technology has arguably transformed our world more than any other force. Despite its massive impact, most politicians seem hardly able to comprehend this new innovation and are even less capable of controlling it. Just consider the world of finance. Computers have already made our financial system fiendishly complicated, so much so that very few humans are now able to understand how it works. As the 21st century continues and artificial intelligence advances, we may reach a stage where no human will be able to make any sense of financial data. The implications of this scenario for our political process are disturbing. Just imagine a future where governments have to patiently wait for algorithms to give them the green light on their budget or their tax reform plans. Unfortunately, for many 21st century politicians, technological disruption isn't at the top of the agenda. For instance, during the 2016 American presidential election, neither Donald Trump nor Hillary Clinton discussed the implications of automation on job losses. In fact, disruptive technology was only really discussed in the context of the Hillary Clinton email scandal. This wall of silence is causing many voters to lose faith in established governments. Ordinary people in liberal democracies across the Western world are feeling more and more irrelevant in this brave new world of artificial intelligence, globalization, and machine learning. This fear of becoming irrelevant has made them desperate to wield whatever political power they still have before it becomes too late. Not convinced? Just take a look at the political earthquakes of 2016. Both Brexit in the United Kingdom and Donald Trump's election in the United States were supported by ordinary people, worried that the world and its dominant liberal political systems were leaving them behind. Throughout the 20th century, ordinary workers worried about their labor being exploited by economic elites. But these days, the masses are more afraid of losing their economic status in a high-tech economy that no longer needs their labor at all. New discoveries in the field of neuroscience are enabling computers to take our jobs at an unprecedented rate. Although most experts agree that robotics and machine learning will change nearly all lines of work in the 21st century, we can't predict precisely what this change will look like. Will billions of people find themselves economically irrelevant within the next 20 years, or will automation result in wider prosperity and great new jobs for all? Many optimists point to the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century, a time when the fear that new machine technology would create mass unemployment was widespread. They argue that since the start of that Industrial Revolution, new technology has always created new jobs for each one it made obsolete. Unfortunately, there is good reason to assume that, in the 21st century, the impact of new technology on human employment will be much more destructive. Consider the fact that humans are possessed of two sorts of abilities, cognitive and physical. In the previous Industrial Revolution, humans experienced competition from machines largely in the realm of purely physical abilities. Our cognitive abilities, meanwhile, remain far superior to machines. Therefore, even as automation occurred in manual jobs within industry and agriculture, new jobs emerged that required the sort of cognitive skills particular to humans, such as analysis, communication, and learning. But in the 21st century, machines are getting smart enough to compete for these cognitive-based jobs, too. Recently, neuroscientists have discovered that many of our choices, preferences, and emotions are not the result of some magical human faculty, such as free will. Instead, human cognition comes from our brain's ability to calculate different probabilities in the space of a split second. These neuroscientific insights raise a troubling question: will artificial intelligence eventually outperform people in professions requiring human intuition, such as law and banking? It's highly probable. Computer scientists now know that what looked like impenetrable human intuition was really just our neural networks recognizing familiar patterns and making fast calculations about probabilities. So, in the 21st century, computers might well be able to make banking decisions about whether or not to lend a customer money, as well as accurately predict whether a lawyer in a court case is bluffing or not. In other words, in the years ahead, even the most cognitively demanding jobs won't be safe from automation. As we stand on the brink of this profound shift, it is crucial to prepare ourselves and our loved ones for the future. Embracing continuous learning, adapting to new technologies, and developing skills that complement rather than compete with AI will be key. Stay informed, stay adaptable, and stay ahead. As Albert Einstein once said, the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. Polarized debate over immigration is threatening to tear apart the European Union. The world has never looked so small. The 21st century has ushered in changes unimaginable to our forebears. Globalization has made it possible to meet people from all over the world, but it has also opened up new opportunities for conflict. As more people cross borders in search of better jobs and more security, the urge to expel, confront, or assimilate strangers is putting our political ideologies and national identities to the severest of tests. This immigration challenge is particularly pertinent in Europe. In the 20th century, the European Union was founded on the premise of overcoming cultural disparities between citizens of France, Germany, and other European nations. Ironically, this political project may now collapse because of its failure to accommodate cultural distinctions between European citizens and new arrivals from the Middle East and Africa. Growing numbers of new arrivals from these regions have sparked bitter debates among Europeans regarding issues of tolerance and identity. It is broadly accepted that immigrants should make attempts to assimilate to their host country's culture, but how far this assimilation should go is a contentious subject. Some Europeans and political groups argue that new arrivals should cast off their previous cultural identities entirely, right down to their traditional styles of dress and taboos regarding food. These Europeans believe that immigrants arriving from deeply patriarchal and religious cultures should adopt their hosts' feminist and secular norms. In contrast, Pro-immigration Europeans contend that since Europe is already highly diverse, with a wide range of values and habits represented among its native peoples, it is unfair to expect immigrants to assimilate to some abstract collective identity that most Europeans themselves don't even relate to. They argue that Muslim immigrants shouldn't be expected to convert to Christianity when the majority of British people don't attend church themselves. Similarly, they question why immigrants from the Punjab should have to forego their traditional curries in favor of fish and chips, given that most native Brits are more likely to be found in a curry house on a Friday night than in a fish and chip shop. Ultimately, the issue of immigrant assimilation is far from clear-cut. Therefore, the lesson for the 21st century is that this debate shouldn't be framed, as it often is, as a moral struggle between fascist anti-immigrationists and pro-immigrationists promoting the suicide of European culture. Instead, immigration should be discussed rationally, recognizing that both political viewpoints have some legitimacy. By addressing this complex issue with nuanced and thoughtful dialogue, rather than polarized rhetoric, Europe can work towards solutions that respect both the diversity of its population and the integrity of its cultural heritage. Terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda are masters of manipulation. No one is better at playing mind games than 21st-century terrorists. Since the 9/11 attacks in 2001, roughly 50 people are killed by terrorists in the European Union every year. In America, about 10 people are killed annually by terrorism. Now consider that during this same period, 80,000 people in Europe and 40,000 Americans have died in traffic accidents. Clearly, our roads pose a far greater hazard to our lives than terrorists, so why are most Westerners more scared of terrorism than driving? Terrorism is a strategy typically employed by weak and desperate parties. It aims to change the political situation by sowing fear in the hearts of the enemy rather than by causing material damage, which terrorists usually aren't strong enough to do. Although terrorists typically kill very few people overall, the 21st century has taught us that their campaigns can be ruthlessly effective. For instance, although Al-Qaeda's 9/11 attacks killed 3,000 Americans and caused terror on the streets of New York, they inflicted very little damage on America as a military power. Post-attack, America had exactly the same number of soldiers, ships, and tanks as she had before, and the country's roads, communication systems, and railways were unharmed. But the enormous audio-visual impact of the Twin Towers collapsing was enough for the nation to seek massive retribution. The terrorists wanted to cause a political and military storm in the Middle East, and they got one. Just days after the attacks, George W. Bush declared a war on terror in Afghanistan, the consequences of which still reverberate in the region today. So how did this weak group of terrorists, with few military resources at their disposal, manage to manipulate the world's greatest power into such disproportionate retaliation? To answer this question, it's useful to think of terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda as a fly buzzing around a china shop. This fly wants to break something, but it's not strong enough to even move a teacup. However, it has a better idea. Standing in this china shop is a massive bull, and if the fly can buzz in his ear and annoy him, the bull, in his attempts to kill the fly, might eventually break everything himself. In the case of 9/11 and the war on terror, the Islamic extremist fly succeeded, and the United States bull, driven by anger and fear, all but destroyed the Middle Eastern shop. Today, the fundamentalists are flourishing amid the carnage left behind. The lesson for the 21st century? Terrorists win when mighty governments overreact. Recognizing and addressing the underlying causes of terrorism without succumbing to disproportionate fear and anger is crucial for preventing terrorists from achieving their goals. 21st century humans are far more ignorant than we realize. For centuries, liberal societies have placed immense trust in the ability of individuals to think and act rationally. Our modern societies are founded on the belief that each human adult is a rational, independent agent. Democracy is based on the notion that voters will know what is best. Our system of free market capitalism operates on the idea that customers are never wrong. And our liberal education system teaches students to engage in independent thinking. However, in the 21st century, placing so much faith in our ability to act rationally is a grave mistake. Modern humans, as individuals, know appallingly little about how the world actually works. Unlike people in the Stone Age who knew how to hunt, turn animal skins into clothes, and make fire, modern humans are far less self-sufficient. Despite our reliance on experts to fulfill almost all our needs, we falsely think that, on an individual level, we know much more than our Stone Age ancestors. For instance, in one experiment, participants were asked whether they understood how zippers work. Although most participants confidently replied that they did, when they were asked to elaborate on this knowledge, Most were revealed to be clueless about how this everyday mechanism actually functions. This experiment highlights a critical issue: modern man often falls prey to what scientists have termed the knowledge illusion. Individuals tend to believe they understand a lot simply because they treat the knowledge that other people possess as though they possessed it too. The consequences of the knowledge illusion are profound. Individuals, such as voters or government officials, fail to understand just how complex the world really is and how ignorant they are of that complexity. As a result, we see people who know almost nothing about the field of meteorology proposing climate change policies. Politicians forcefully espouse solutions to conflicts in Ukraine or Iraq, even though they might struggle to locate these countries on a map. Therefore, the lesson for the 21st century is clear: we must acknowledge our limitations and the complexity of the world around us. Next time someone gives you their opinion, dig a little deeper to find out how much they really know about the subject in question. You might be surprised. 21st century schools need to focus on critical thinking, not just information. A child born today will be in their 30s in 2050 and could live well into the 22nd century. What sort of education would help this child prosper in such a rapidly evolving world? For children of the 21st century to flourish and become capable adults, we need to radically rethink our schooling system. In other words, the schools that got us here won't get us there. Currently, schools emphasize cramming students with information, a practice rooted in the 19th century when information was scarce. This was a time without daily newspapers, radio, public libraries, and television. Even available information was often censored, leaving religious texts and novels as primary reading materials. Thus, when modern schooling systems were introduced, focusing on imparting essential facts of history, geography, and biology, it represented a significant improvement for most ordinary people. However, living conditions have dramatically changed in the 21st century, rendering our educational systems hopelessly antiquated. Today, we are inundated with information, and censorship is minimal in most countries. People worldwide have smartphones and could spend all day perusing Wikipedia, catching up on TED Talks, and studying online courses if they had the time and desire. In today's world, the problem is not a scarcity of information but the overwhelming amount of misinformation. Consider all the fake news that many of us wade through each time we browse our social media feeds. In response to this information overload, schools should stop shoving even more data down children's throats. Instead, 21st century children need to be taught how to make sense of the vast amounts of information that bombard them daily. They need to learn how to distinguish between important information and irrelevant or downright fake news. In the 21st century, information will always be at our fingertips. However, the truth will be harder to find. By focusing on critical thinking skills, we can prepare future generations to navigate this complex landscape effectively. Navigating the complexity of the 21st century. In an age defined by rapid technological advancements and shifting political landscapes, the ability to navigate complexity with clarity and discernment has become paramount. Our era is marked by unprecedented access to information and a barrage of conflicting narratives, challenging individuals to distinguish between fact and fiction. As we confront issues ranging from technological disruption to geopolitical tensions, it is essential to acknowledge our limitations and embrace a mindset that values critical thinking over blind acceptance. Understanding our ignorance, despite the wealth of information at our fingertips, the paradox of the 21st century lies in our collective ignorance. Modern societies have placed great faith in individual rationality, yet many of us are ill-equipped to navigate the deluge of information and misinformation that inundates our daily lives. This knowledge illusion often leads us to overestimate our understanding while underestimating the complexities of the world around us. Navigating political minefields. Political discourse in the 21st century is fraught with polarization and misinformation, exacerbated by echo chambers and social media algorithms that reinforce pre-existing beliefs. Issues like immigration spark heated debates, with entrenched positions often overshadowing rational dialogue. To foster constructive discourse, it is crucial to approach these topics with empathy and open-mindedness, striving for nuanced understanding rather than oversimplified narratives. Challenges of technological disruption. The rapid advancement of technology, particularly in artificial intelligence and automation, poses profound challenges to traditional notions of work and employment. As machines encroach upon tasks once reserved for humans, the specter of widespread job displacement looms large. However, historical precedents, such as the Industrial Revolution, remind us that technological innovation has also created new opportunities and industries, albeit with significant disruptions along the way. Terrorism and perception. Terrorism, despite statistically posing less risk than many other everyday hazards, continues to grip public consciousness with fear and uncertainty. Terrorist tactics are designed not only to inflict physical harm but also to provoke psychological and societal responses far beyond their actual impact. Understanding this dynamic is crucial in crafting effective responses that mitigate fear-driven reactions and focus on long-term resilience. Discerning truth in an age of misinformation. The proliferation of fake news and misinformation challenges our ability to make informed decisions. As information warfare becomes increasingly sophisticated, distinguishing between credible sources and propaganda becomes a critical skill. Educating ourselves and others about media literacy and fact-checking is essential to preserving the integrity of public discourse and democratic institutions. Empowering the future. Amidst these challenges, the path forward lies in empowering individuals with the tools of critical thinking, resilience, and adaptability. Embracing lifelong learning and a willingness to question assumptions are key to navigating uncertain futures. By fostering an environment that values diverse perspectives and reasoned debate, we can collectively shape a more inclusive and resilient society. In conclusion, as we navigate the complexities of the 21st century, let us heed the words of Albert Einstein: "The measure of intelligence is the ability to change." By embracing curiosity, humility, and a commitment to truth, we can transcend the limitations of our ignorance and forge a path towards a brighter future. If you found this discussion insightful, consider sharing it with others and subscribing to stay informed about more discussions on navigating today's challenges with clarity and purpose.